What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Girl Who Talks Sports, the podcast where we talk sports and other girly things. I'm Sam Cardona, and thank you guys so much for listening this week. I'm actually very excited about this week's episode. We are going to have a college athlete on this week to talk about the NIL bill, the NCAA changing their policies with the whole, name, image, likeness bill that they've passed. They can now profit off of things. So Lindsey Linard from Youngstown State, basketball player, very excited to talk to her, is going to come on the show. We're going to talk about it. And that is our interview for this week. But of course, guys, we got to do our plugs before we get into anything. So don't forget to subscribe to us on all podcasting platforms, wherever it is that you get your podcasts from. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel at The Girl Who Talks Sports. If you're watching right now, please make sure to hit the little like button, turn on the little bell to get notified every time I upload a new video. It's a good time. We have fun here. And finally, don't forget to follow us on social media. So you can follow us on Twitter at TGWTS Podcast. Twitter's a really fun time. I just kind of dish out my thought process for the day there. It's very therapeutic, actually. And you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Girl Who Talks Sports. Again, TikTok, I'm very new to it. I'm getting used to it. I'm having a real good time, though, to be honest. I'm having a fantastic time on TikTok. So please make sure to follow on there. And if you guys missed it, new merch dropped. So if you guys want to buy some new merch, go on. I'll put the link in the description. Please make sure to buy some merch, because the more merch that you buy and the more things that you do to support the show, the better the show gets, the better equipment I can buy, the better things I can get, the better, money is good. Money is good for the podcast, and because of the money, I can give you guys a better show. So please make sure to check out the merch. Again, I will put the link in the description of the YouTube video and in the podcasting notes. So, guys, without further ado, I want to get into our interview with Lindsey. I hope that you guys enjoy it, and it's very educational. I know one of the best decisions I've ever made was to start this podcast, and I'm sure some of you have thought about starting one as well. But the question is always, where do you start? Buzzsprout is the best and easiest way to start your own professional podcast. They've already helped over 100,000 people launch their own podcast, including myself. They can get your podcast on every major podcasting platform. They provide you with your very own podcasting website, audio players to drop in other websites, detailed analytics, tools to promote your episodes, and so much more. Buzzsprout also publishes new blog posts, podcast episodes, and YouTube videos every week. To start your very own podcast and get a free $20 Amazon gift card, click the link in the show notes. Buzzsprout will know that you were sent by me, the Girl Who Talks Sports, and help support the show. Buzzsprout, the easiest way to start a podcast. All right, everyone, welcome back. We are here with a very special guest. I'm very excited to introduce her. It's Lindsey Linard from Youngstown State University. She is going to talk to us this week about the new NCAA policy, which I'm very excited to get into. Lindsey, thanks so much for coming on this week.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, of course. So before we get into everything, why don't we start with just introduction for you? What's your name? Your school. I know I just said all that, but your year, how long you've been playing basketball, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so my name's Lindsey. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, and I play basketball at Youngstown State University in Youngstown, Ohio. This is my second year, but it's actually my first year at Youngstown. I originally was at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania last year, where I played, and I just transferred. So this is my second year, and I'm a sports broadcasting major, and I am a center on the basketball team.
Awesome. Very, very cool. When did you start playing basketball?
I started when I was in third grade, and I hated it.
Really? You hated it?
I was not into sports at all. I was originally a cheerleader when I was little. But I was very tall as a child. I probably was like 5'10" in the third grade.
Oh my God.
I'm 6'4" now. So my parents both played basketball in high school, so they signed me up. I didn't love it, but I just did it. And then I actually ended up enjoying it. And here we are now.
Wow. So you decided to switch schools. What made you go from that school to Youngstown State now?
Um, I was a little bit farther from home, and I definitely have a really good relationship with my family. So it was really hard for me not seeing them very often. So being closer to home was a huge part of the switch. And then also, I felt like I needed somewhere where I was a better fit. And Youngstown had recruited me when I was in high school, and they
Okay.
jumped on the opportunity when they saw that I wanted to transfer. And so it was a really easy decision for me.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I totally feel that. I went to school like 2 hours away from home because I felt it was far enough away that I could do my own thing, but close enough that I could come home if I needed to. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
totally feel that. So, all right. So, and then also you said you were a sports broadcasting major. What
Yeah.
made you want to study that?
I really look up to people like Holly Rowe or Rachel Nichols, and especially when I was younger and watching them on TV when I would watch basketball, I thought it was really cool that there was women that were very knowledgeable about sports, and I felt like that was somewhere where I fit in, especially when I was younger. And so I kind of want to emulate them in a way, and the sports broadcasting major was a really easy choice for me.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
I totally feel that and I feel the same way. So now that we know a little bit about you, I kind of want to go into this whole, NIL bill that has now been passed. And so the Supreme Court ended up ruling unanimously in favor for it. They went 9-0. So now the players can get compensation, they can get paid for their name, image, and likeness. So when the bill was passed and you as a college athlete found out that this was going to be something that was possible for you, what was your first reaction?
I was really excited, but it's actually something that has been in the talks in the
Right.
college athletics world and for a while now, especially in the past year. Pretty much a lot of people figured out that this was going to be passed eventually. So it was kind of like I was thinking about it, but not really seriously because no one really knew when this would actually happen. But once it did, it was a really exciting day, and it opens a whole new world for college athletes now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like something that, people have kind of been having this debate about for years. For as long as I can remember, we've been talking about this. So if you can kind of explain what it means now that this bill has been passed. So like what are things now that you as a college athlete can do that you weren't able to do before?
Right. So I think a big misconception of it is then something I want to clear up is that like we're not being paid wages for playing our sport.
Right, right.
We're not being paid just because we're athletes. It essentially allows athletes to embark on different business ventures, whether that be something what they want to do on their own or something that they want to do and partner with another company. And pretty much they can use their status as an athlete now in order to do these different business deals and get either paid for it or just get different things in exchange for their work. And they're able to use the fact that they're an athlete in their benefit, whereas before you were not. And you really could not use, which is a huge deal for, I mean, some college athletes are bigger than some professional athletes at this point. The fact that they weren't allowed to use that fact in their benefit was really frustrating for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. So now that, it's kind of, I think that a lot of people were thinking that it was like, oh, now all college athletes are going to get paid but it's like, that's not exactly what it is. But like
Right.
Lindsay explained, it's basically just that, now it's, if a sponsorship comes out or something, they're allowed to do it. And, someone like Nick Saban, who's the coach of the Alabama football team. Like he's been doing Aflac commercials for I don't know how long. So everybody was like, okay, so he can get paid to do commercials, but his players can't. So it
Right.
was a constant battle here. So just from like your perspective here, now that this is going down and you obviously have teammates, you have other friends that are, college athletes, what kind of changes have you been seeing so far, like within the NCAA? Have you seen like people kind of jumping on opportunities faster, or do you think people are kind of waiting for things to come to them? Like what's kind of shifting right now, like in the NCAA?
Right. Well, for me and a lot of my friends and teammates, I'm at a mid-major school, so I'm not going to be probably on commercials or, something, because a lot of people do not know who I am. Whereas, a lot of, Power Five athletes and stuff
Right.
probably are more famous, where they are more well known and could get, deals with really well known companies. In my case, it's been a lot of me and my friends reaching out to different businesses or different brands that we feel like we could represent, and figuring out how it could be like a mutually beneficial relationship. And so I think it's in order for us to benefit from this, we have to really put ourselves out there, because we're not going to have as much exposure as a lot of bigger athletes are.
Definitely. And I think that an argument that could be made also, which could be made in any kind of sport, is that, there's women's and there's men's, and their men's teams are just generically more popular. So like as
Right.
opposed to, the women's basketball team, like the men's basketball team are obviously going to get more and more, views, and people are going to watch them more, people are going to know who they are. So I
Right.
think that's also going to be a constant battle that you're going to go through
Mhm.
just as a woman basketball player, as opposed to some of the
Right.
male basketball players, even though it is a smaller school. Do
Mhm.
you feel like that is already the case? Like, do you see that already?
I see it a little bit, but honestly, I am surprised by, I mean, some big brands are already announcing athletes that they've partnered with. And I think they're actually, as of right now, I mean, we're only a week or two in to
Right.
all of this, but I've seen a lot of, it's almost even how they're picking people to represent them and stuff, which made me feel really good that I see other, female athletes and other women's college basketball players that are able to get these really, cool opportunities. But I think it probably will be something in the future as more brands start trying to find people to partner with and stuff. And I think they'll probably gravitate more towards men's sports in general. But as of right now, I'm actually pleasantly surprised by how it's going.
Yeah, definitely. I think another part of that also is like I know Sedona Prince, who is a really big women's basketball player in the NCAA, has been a really big advocate of this for so long that people know who she is. She was the one that posted the video about the weight rooms and during the March
Mhm.
Madness tournament and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I feel like she's one of these people that's really going to make sure, like, hey, we can't just keep giving the branch just to the guys over here. There's a whole other string of people that have, just as
Mhm.
much, reach. I mean, she's got millions of TikTok
Right.
followers already. So,
Yeah.
it's definitely people like that are going to make sure that it kind of is a bit of an even playing ground. Um,
Hmm.
but do you feel like your life has changed in the past like week or two? Like, do you feel like there's anything in your life right now that you're like, oh my God, like this is gonna happen and this is gonna be like a life-changing thing for me?
I don't know about life changing, but I think it can open a lot more opportunities for me. Even like career wise, once I'm out of school, just being able to interact with these different brands and different companies and people that have like the same values and the same interests that I do. And I think it'll be really helpful in the long run that I can start doing this now rather than waiting 4 years when I'm out of school.
Mhm. Do you feel like, I mean, so you have quite a bit of school to go still. Do you feel like, I mean, with being at more of a smaller school, do you feel maybe you're going to end up getting overlooked in some sort of places? Or do you think that it's going to continue to stay like a thing that you're like, okay, if I reach out to someone, they're going to make an effort or they're going to be like, no, we need somebody from, Oregon, or we need someone from Alabama. Do you feel like it's going to end up being like that?
I think as like athletes in general, I think we all kind of know where our reach is and where we kind of fit in. And I know like if I reach out to some huge sportswear brand or something, they probably are going to overlook my email or my DM or whatever I send them. But I know there's like a lot of local businesses or a lot of Ohio businesses or stuff like that where I know like we both will value each other's like input and like partnership if in some kind of business deal. And I think it's more about figuring out where you really fit in rather than really trying to like reach super high where it might not be practical.
Right. Something I was just thinking about is like, you're only a college athlete for so long, right? Eventually you graduate and you're no longer playing for your school. What kind of things do you think are going to be like when you get out of school, or like when some of these bigger people are no longer in school and, they may or may not be drafted by a team or anything like that? What kind of things do you think are going to happen after people graduate and are no longer a college athlete?
I think that's a really interesting thing to think about. And I think it's
something that actually just popped into my brain. I was like, people are college athletes forever.
Right. I know, I don't know about other sports, but I know with basketball, there's lots of opportunities to play professional basketball overseas. And that's often where a lot of people end up playing if they want to continue their career, and they can make pretty good money off of it. And so I think in that kind of situation, like as long as you're playing, I think people probably will keep, in college, you start with these brand deals and then you become a professional, whether it's in the United States or in another country. And I think that you can probably continue those partnerships because you still have a higher status as a professional athlete in that sense. But I really don't know for other sports, what could that possibly mean,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the basketball is more of a sport where people will have more of the opportunity to do so. What kind of things are you feeling like you want to do in your future? So, down the line, you're going to end up graduating with a sports broadcasting degree, hopefully getting some sort of profits off of being a college athlete. What are your hopes and dreams for the future?
Ideally, I'd like to be on TV. I love the NBA, but I also am a huge Cleveland sports fan in general. So I love baseball, I love football and stuff. And I just think it's such a cool atmosphere to be able to go to games and make relationships with other people that, love the same things that you do. So ideally, I'd like to be on TV covering basketball, but I'm not opposed to writing or doing just any other sort of media, but for sports, because I think it's impacted my life in such a huge way. And like, I wouldn't want to leave that just because I'm done playing basketball.
Right. So are you a Browns fan and
I am.
Cavaliers fan, all of that good stuff?
Yep.
Awesome. I am a huge Baker Mayfield fan.
Oh, yeah.
I live and breathe for him. I love him so much.
Yeah, we all love him here.
My brother bought me a shirt once that says, sorry, Cleveland, I'm just here for Baker, with a on it. Because I'll like root for the Browns, like if they're, especially last year when they were in the playoffs, like that was a great run. What was your like hometown like when the Browns were in the playoffs last year?
Oh, it was crazy. Like every weekend felt like, everyone was just like living for the weekend for the next game.
Yeah.
And so it was so fun. And like, we really haven't had a fun sports environment in Cleveland since 2016 when the Cavs won. And then everything kind of went, there was a little lull for a few years, but it kind of made the city very lively, and it was fun. And the draft was just held there, so everyone was really excited about the draft, and just it's a large football spirit now. So
That's awesome. I always, when you guys were in the playoffs, I was like, wow, if the Browns made it to the Super Bowl, like I would lose my mind.
It would be insane. It would be crazy.
What was it like when LeBron came back to Cleveland years ago?
I was just talking with some of my teammates about that, because I think either yesterday or a few days ago was like the 7-year anniversary of when he came back. And I think I must have been 12 or 13, and I remember every detail of that day when he came back.
Yeah.
And I remember the second me and my dad found out, we were listening to some sports radio thing, and that's how we found out, listening to it. And he's like, we have to go downtown. So we drove to downtown Cleveland. We drove like 30 minutes, and the streets were just lined with people. Like I've never seen anything like it before. And there was news crews all over the place. Everyone was honking their horns, just driving around. It was like the craziest thing I'd ever seen.
Oh my God, I could imagine. I feel like people were like back and forth. Like people were like so excited, and other people were like burning his jersey.
Right.
There was no in between.
Right. And I think at first people were like that because, they were still upset and had hard feelings and whatever, but I think everyone respects him here. No one has issues with him, even though he left. Like again, like everyone respects him and what he's done for us and stuff, and so everyone really loves him here still.
So let me ask you this: as a basketball player, as a person who loves LeBron James from being in Cleveland, what's your stance on the GOAT debate? What do you feel about Michael Jordan v. LeBron James?
I have to say LeBron. I know, but I feel like it's because like I think a lot of people that say Michael Jordan are ones that were able to watch him in his prime, and I was able to watch, even though I'm not
Right.
old enough to be seen that, but I was able to watch LeBron in his prime, and I have to say LeBron.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I'm the opposite side. I was born in the 90s, so I mean I was really young when MJ was in the league, but did you watch The Last Dance by any chance?
I did, and they did give me more respect for him, and I do,
No,
I do get it.
That series was insanely.
It was amazing.
And I'm not really even like, I'll keep up with NBA, but I'm more a football girl, so I'm not like but like when I watched that, especially because it was during quarantine and everybody was like fiending for sports, and everyone sat down and watched it, I was like, this guy just got 10 times more of my respect.
Yeah. I mean, all of the guys like Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen, just watching that was, I mean, it makes you understand a little bit more like them as people, but also as athletes.
Definitely. So let me ask you about the NBA really quick, since the finals are going on. What is your predictions for the finals this year? I know we're like halfway through it, but
I know. I'm rooting for the Suns personally.
Okay.
I honestly don't really have a connection to either team and have not been super invested in it, but I keep up and enjoy it. I love Chris Paul, and because I think I like the older guys.
Yeah.
So he's really the reason I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't really follow the NBA as closely as I do with the NFL. I've always liked Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like, Chris Paul has got like this weird feeling that I'm like, I feel like I want Chris Paul to win.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. I don't know like where we're at. Like, I think it's 2-1 in the series or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, whoever wins.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of how I am this year.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of NBA fans are, because I was just talking to a friend of mine who's like a diehard NBA fan, and even he's like, it's okay.
Right. Yeah.
The finals aren't all that great this year, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
Right.
But So one more question for you before we finish up. What are you most looking forward to within your college career, within the NIL bill passing? What is your the thing that you're most looking forward to this year?
I think this year for me, just I have like a totally new start at a new school. There's all this whole opportunity with the bill that was passed, and it's just a lot of new stuff at once, and I'm really excited for it. And I think it's like I have a lot more opportunities with basketball, and I have a lot more opportunities outside of basketball. And I think that's just like the most exciting thing to look forward to this year.
That's awesome. That's really exciting. Well, I'm very excited for you as a college athlete.
Thank you.
Do you have anything that you'd like to plug before we head out? Any social media, anything coming up, any basketball games?
You can follow the Youngstown State women's basketball team. And then also my Instagram is Lindsey.Linard. Twitter is Lindsey Linard, if you would like to follow me. And just follow women's college sports in general and support them.
100%. Well, Lindsey, I want to appreciate you so much for coming on and talking about this with me this week. And everybody, we are going to go back to our regular scheduled podcast programming.
Thank you.
Imagine it was possible that local fresh groceries could be delivered right to your front door. You would have so much free time, you could listen to more of The Girl Who Talks Sports. Instacart gives you unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Better than what those other guys who nickel and dime you do whenever you use their app. Instacart can deliver to your front door in as little as 1 hour. You're not even tied down to one store. You can shop multiple stores, find deals in your area to save some money, and shoppers hand select your items based on your preferences. So don't worry, they'll keep your gentle items like your eggs safe too. To start your 14-day free trial, click the link in the show notes so Instacart knows that you were sent by me, the girl who talks sports. And this also helps to support our show. Instacart, never step foot in a grocery store again. All right, everybody, that was Lindsey Linard. I hope that you guys enjoyed that interview with her. I feel like I haven't done this in a while, but we got segments. We got segments to go over this time, which is very, very exciting. We have a tea time. We have a Let's Talk About It. We have a tweet of the week. So let's get into it. Let's get into our first segment on the show and my favorite segment on the show. Tea time. Tea time is my favorite segment on the show because we delve into the hot, steamy gossip of the sports world. And this week, I feel like I haven't done that in so long. This week, it's interesting, and I really wanted to talk about it. So a lot of times, guys, this is football related, but we're jumping into baseball. And actually, this is a callback from another tea time that we did a while ago at this point. Like back before I think I even had a YouTube channel was when I was talking about this. So it has to do with the Astros. And for those that don't know, I'm sure that you do, the Astros were caught cheating not even many years ago. It was like last year, the year before. And people are salty about it, very salty about it, which is understandable. I'm salty about it. I'm a Yankee fan. So it's not a good look for the Astros. One of the things that happened that they realized, so there was a whole trash can debacle, right? There was a whole thing going on with the trash cans. It was like the banging on the trash can told them which pitch was coming and all that stuff. And then they found out that there was another thing going on with wires attached to their bodies. And they realized this when Jose Altuve hit a home run to win the championship game, actually against the Yankees. And he's holding onto his jersey as he's running around the bases, kind of indicating to his teammates like, hey, don't take my jersey off. There's something going on under there. And everybody was like, oh my God, he's like, it's going to sound like super narky, but he's wearing a wire. So it was a buzzer device of some sort that they were speculating on, that it buzzed to tell them what kind of pitches were coming, which then led them to win and so on and so forth. However, this is an old tea. This tea is lukewarm at this point, right? Like, we're looking for hot, steamy tea. We're looking for the tea right in front of us. Well, I got it. I got it for you. Here's the tea for this week. is that the Yankees and the Astros just played one another this past weekend in a series. And the Yankees were up 2-0 in the series. They would have gotten the sweep in the last game. However, Jose Altuve came out, hit a walk-off home run, similar to the one in which that they won the championship that then led them to the World Series, where he didn't take his shirt off because he had so many excuses, which we're going to get into. Gets a walk-off home run this weekend versus the Yankees to win a regular series, and coming into home plate, removes his jersey. Now, otherwise, I wouldn't have a problem with this. However, I have a problem with the fact that these were his excuses. He said, one, that he's shy. Okay, if you're shy then and like you're like, oh, I've developed into a new person in the past year and a half or whatever it's been, I want to take my jersey. Okay, that's one thing. But I really don't think that was the reason. Number two, he said, my wife doesn't like when I strip. Oh, all right, these guys, the baseball wives want to make sure that nobody's looking at their man in any sort of way, which is totally plausible, understandable. I get it. But he comes out and he's like, yeah, my wife doesn't like when I strip, so I don't take my jersey off. Again, apparently Jose was feeling quite, confident this time around, removed his jersey, despite what his wife says she feels comfortable with. All right. I just put up 4 fingers. Third thing was that he has a tattoo on his chest. And he said that he didn't want to show off his tattoo. Or I think someone even mentioned, like, his wife doesn't like his tattoo, but it's literally his daughter's name. Like, it's not anything crazy. It's barely noticeable. It's, like, maybe 3.5 inches, very light, very minuscule. I don't understand what the problem was. So those are 3 excuses that were totally thrown out the window this weekend, and Jose Altuve had the audacity to remove his shirt. Now, I feel like he was kind of feeling it because I believe the second game, Aaron Judge hit a home run and kind of mocked him by holding his jersey, saying like, oh, don't take my jersey off. Oh, I have a wire underneath it. So I think that he was a little pressed. Jose, like, relax, okay? Relax. It's not a big deal. But yeah, this whole thing is very, very annoying because at this point we know that the Astros did cheat to get their World Series title, and now they have a little asterisk next to their World Series championship. But like, we know that you cheated. We know that. We know what happened. And now that you're just basically confirming that you were lying the whole time before that. So we took some lukewarm tea, we put it in the microwave, we heated that right back up, and we put it in front of you for a nice, warm, steamy glass of tea. And that's what I wanted to talk about on our tea time for this week. I think it's more that I'm just a salty Yankee fan. I mean, it is what it is, but come on now. It was so unnecessary too. You also like didn't win the series. Like, it was just that you didn't get swept. So it just like, it really just made me grinds my gears for sure. So that is our tea time for this week. Now, our next it is the next segment. Our next segment on the show is our Let's Talk About It segment. And this week, we're going to talk about Reggie Bush. Right, we're going to talk about Reggie Bush because it kind of ties into our whole thing that we're talking with Lindsey about this week in the NIL bill. So basically, if you guys don't know Reggie Bush, who's now on TV and stuff like that, like, he's still a relevant person especially in college football. So he won the Heisman back in 2005, and there's a lot of not speculation, but a lot of conversations, a lot of debates going on right now about Reggie Bush since the NIL bill was passed and the NCAA is loosening their policies on it. Here's the question: should Reggie Bush get his Heisman back? This is the question that everybody is asking about. And before I get into it all, I'm just gonna read the statement that Reggie Bush himself posted on his Twitter. So this is what he said. Over the last few months, on multiple occasions, my team and I have reached out to both the NCAA and the Heisman Trust in regard to the reinstatement of my college records and the return of my Heisman. We left multiple messages for Michael Comerford, the president of the Heisman Trust, but instead received a call from Rob Whalen, the executive director, who stated that Mr. Comerford would not be calling us back and that in any event, they could not help us. We reached out to the NCAA on multiple occasions and received no help or got no response at all. It is my strong belief that I won the Heisman Trophy solely due to my hard work and dedication on the football field, and it is also my firm belief that my records should be reinstated. Now, me approaching this argument, I can see all of the sides. I am very much a devil's advocate. I understand both sides here. I understand that Reggie Bush did have a fantastic 2005 season. For just a couple of statistics, he rushed for 1,740 yards on 200 carries and 18 total touchdowns. However, he did receive what I read on a CNN article described as impermissible benefits, which basically was that he took money and he got a vehicle from an agent or something like that. Basically things that you're not allowed to get as a college athlete in 2005. Now, if that were to happen, it would be allowed. And it's just kind of people are like, hey, this wasn't allowed during this time. You know, why can't Reggie Bush get his Heisman back now that these policies have been loosened, or, you know, kind of the noose has been released, right? So I understand, like, honestly, in the midst of all this, my first instinct was like, yeah, like, why wouldn't Reggie Bush get his Heisman Trophy back? I mean, obviously the things that he was punished for at the time are basically legal now, and they should, you know, kind of give it back to him, because they didn't take it away from him because he didn't deserve it. They took it away from him because he broke the rules. However, what I also thought about was putting myself in the shoes of the NCAA, that they were like, hey, if we give Reggie Bush his Heisman Trophy back, all the people that we kind of, you know, gave consequences to for their behaviors, we're going to have to, like, basically reimburse all of these people that we ever did anything to because of the fact that we gave Reggie Bush his Heisman back. I honestly, genuinely don't think it's going to happen. I think people are going to make a push for it. I think it's going to be a big debate topic for a long time. I genuinely don't think it's going to happen solely because of that reason that I just said. At the Heisman Trophy Trust, though, I have a feeling that they know it's not going to happen. They know the NCAA isn't going to make it work, but they're coming out and they're saying, well, if the NCAA reinstates it, we will be happy to have Reggie Bush back in the 2005 spot. So they're basically saving their own butts. They're saving face themselves by saying that they're okay with it, that they want Reggie Bush to get his Heisman back, but it's not up to them. It's up to the NCAA to reinstate his records. So I really think the Heisman did that just to save their butts a little bit. And then, you know, this is basically what is going to go down with Reggie Bush. I genuinely think Reggie Bush, because of what so it's like almost like, okay, let's just take this out of context for a second, not in sports, just in like the real world. Let's just say one day, you know, thieving, you know, stealing becomes legal. Like, you can walk into a store, take something off the shelf, walk out without paying for it. So now, you know, then you go back and you're like, well, all these other people who have been stealing this whole time, do they get released from jail? A perfect example, real example, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is marijuana. Marijuana is now legal recreationally in a lot of different states, right? And a lot of people are calling for the people that have been arrested for marijuana use or for having marijuana or selling marijuana, they should be released from jail because it is legal now. It's the same kind of thing, and it's complicated. While for a lot of people it's clear, like, yes, it is legal now, therefore everybody before that should be released, it's the same kind of concept, but then also it's like there's so many other factors, and it's really unfortunate that there are so many other factors in this. It's really complicated. So, jumping back to Reggie Bush here, does he want his Heisman back? Yes. Is he going to get it back? No. Do I think that he probably should get his Heisman back because he really didn't do, in terms of what he earned it for, is there? Yeah, he did. He earned that Heisman. It was his. It was his for 5 years until 2010, and then they took it away from him. It is what it is. The NCAA is not going to give it back to him. That's just the bottom line. I would be so flabbergasted if they did. But they're not, because there's going to be so many other people that are like, oh, you gave Reggie Bush's Heisman back? Well, what about all the things that you took me out of because I did this, this, and this? Or what about the things that, my teammate did, and now you gave him consequences for it, and now they're not going to get any compensation for that? So it's just going to be a whole whirlwind of things, and the NCAA does not want to open that door. So overall, let's talk about it. We talked about it. Reggie Bush and the NIL bill. It's so out of control. So anyway, that's what my thoughts on all of this really is. All right, guys, we have our tweet of the week, and then we're going to end off our show for this week. So our tweet of the week this week is actually just a chain of tweets that I found recently that are absolutely hilarious, and I just had to read them. So basically it started off with this guy, Bryce Williams, who replied to a Twitter called Cooterdoodle, which is just a funny thing to say. So he basically said, I'd like to think that I could make a good Joe Mixon joke, but I don't have a leg to stand on, which is funny because Joe Mixon obviously has a leg injury. So then she responds to his tweet and says, I'd like to think I can make a good Russell Wilson joke, but it will just fizzle out towards the end, which I was like, oh, nice little jump back there, Cooterdoodle, like looking good. And then I realized that it kept going. So then a Twitter guy whose name is Brett Mason, he responded to it and said, I thought I'd make a Kirk Cousins joke, but nobody would like it. And I was like, oh, there we go. We're making jokes here. She replies again, Cooterdoodle, says again, I thought I'd make an Aaron Rodgers joke, but I don't know. We'll see. Also, if you guys aren't getting these references, like, come on, keep up. We gotta get on the Twitter sphere now, all right? It's so much more fun there. So finally, this is the joke that I found originally, which is the one that I retweeted that made me really laugh, and it's just the most solid one. Fantasy Life said, I thought I'd make a Justin Fields joke, but Matt Nagy won't let me start it. And that, my friends, is where we're going to end off our show for this week, because Matt Nagy doesn't know how to start Justin Fields over Andy Dalton. Anyway, everybody, so that is going to do it for our show this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe on all podcasting platforms. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching, drop a like, turn on notifications to get notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you very much. And don't forget to follow us on social media on Twitter at TGWTS Podcast and on Instagram and TikTok at The Girl Who Talks Sports. Don't forget to check out the new merch. Please, please, please. It's super helpful for me and everybody. I hope you all have a fun, fantastic, sports-filled day, and I will see you guys all next week. Bye!